Here we go with the game two. So tomorrow at noon, west on the west coast here, Pacific time, 3 o'clock Pacific Eastern, and early enough for those of you in the rest of the world who get messed over by how late games go. You can stay up and watch this one. Anyways, regardless of where you'll be watching it, if you're watching this series, you may be greatly enjoying it. You may be upset about it. I understand that Boston's the root of all evil right now. I've been reading that a lot. And I got to admit, there's sometimes that I read it and I go, wait, what? So Boston's up 1-0 in this series. And it's a big game for both teams. And at this point in the year, that seems kind of, well, you don't really have to say it. It's a big game for everybody, right? Now, for Carolina, if they don't win this one, their odds of winning drop dramatically. However, they lost game two in round one against Washington. They lost both on the road, and then they went home and they got back some amount of themselves, and they got the momentum back, and they ended up winning 4 out of 5 against Washington. So it's not the death knell if they lose tomorrow, but it's close. In round two, of course, they won game two. That was part of that sweep they had over the New York Islanders. Now, for Boston, they won game two against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where they lost game one. And in round two, they lost game two against Columbus, where they won game one. So for Boston, this would be the first time they could go up 2-0 if they do it. If they lose, this will be the third straight series. They're 1-1 after the first two games. And losing home ice every round, it's part of parity, but you got to assert yourself at home ice. So we'll see if they're able to do it, and we'll see what Carolina is able to do in this game. Carolina had an excellent road game, minus 30 seconds. 2 goals in a 28-second period by the Boston Bruins made all the difference in the world. Now, Boston won the game 5-2. Power plays, they were 2 for 5. Carolina was 1 for 3. That power play goal came 3 seconds into that power play. Hits, that favored Carolina 27-25, but giveaways favored Carolina 11-7. You cannot give away the puck against the Boston Bruins. They will beat you. 31-28 were the shots in favor of Carolina. The penalty minutes were 10-6 in favor of Carolina. Blocked shots, Boston had 11-10 for Carolina. The overall numbers show that the game was pretty darn close, and the giveaways were a difference, and so were the 2 power play goals for Boston. The funny thing is, outside of those 2 power plays, Boston's power play didn't look great. So Carolina needs to figure out what they were doing right in the power plays that they killed, what happened in those 28 seconds that changed the whole momentum and feel of the game, and find a way to cancel that. Now, Mrazek had 23 saves on 27 shots. Rask had 29 saves on 31. Tuukka Rask playing, I think, the best goaltending he's ever played in the playoffs. I think this has been his best performance, especially over the last, I want to say, week and a half, 2 weeks. Aho and McKegg had the goals for Carolina in that first game. Boston had 5 different goal scorers: Coyle, Wagner, Bergeron, Johansson, and Kampfer. So for Boston, it is a varied attack, and for Carolina, it has been throughout the playoffs, and we'll see if they're able to get more guys on the sheet tomorrow night. And McElhinney is the big one for me. That's why I've got that on the board, because if you're Carolina, and last I looked, I didn't see a confirmation for who was going to start tomorrow. I know that Rod Brind'Amour likely comes back with Mrazek, because I don't think it was Mrazek's fault that they lost. But there's just something about the way Carolina plays in front of Curtis McElhinney and just the amount of confidence he seems to give the team that I, as a coach, would be tempted to go with McElhinney in game 2. Scoring leaders for these teams, Slavin still leads for Carolina with 11 assists. Again, amazing playoffs for him overall. Aho with 5 goals, 5 assists. Stahl with 4 goals, 6 assists. Teravainen, 6 goals, 3 assists. And Warren Foegele, public enemy number 1 in Boston right now, 5 goals and 4 assists. On the Boston side of things, Marchand with 5 goals and 10 assists. Amazing when he's on, frustrating when he isn't. First game in this series, he was on, being the voice of reason during scrums, which is odd to some people, but that's what we've seen more of him doing this year. Just some of the stuff that happened in the Columbus series distracts from that. Pasternak, 6 goals and 5 assists. Krejci with 4 goals, 7 assists. Coyle with 6 goals, 3 assists, and Bergeron also has 6 goals and 3 assists in the playoffs. I will not call it the perfection line. I will say this. The big line for Boston, it is up to Carolina to shut that down. If they can shut that down, they have a much better chance. If that line gets on the board early, Boston has a tremendous chance to go up 2-0 in this series. I think it's going to be close. I think this series is going to end up going 6 or 7, one way or the other. And it is up to Carolina to show tomorrow afternoon, that they are really and truly in this, and they're in it to win it. And then that would, tomorrow's result, if Carolina can win that, they can go home for games 3 and 4. If they lose it, they're in tough. Boston then would be looking at games 3 and 4 and saying, okay, well, we just need a split. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through just tapping upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.